Hello everyone, welcome to the 60 Literary and Jury Charge. I'm going to start off today with our article that we started in the last class, and we're going to finish it up. Okay, and this is on how to be a leader. Okay, ready? Get a compass. People don't follow leaders who lack direction. Estee Lauder, founder of the cosmetics company, has led thousands of employees to great success. She claims that every business leader she knows puts a clear picture of what he wants to achieve in his mind and stays focused on the picture. People want to follow those who promise and deliver success, she says. Act the part. Good leaders have learned to sound like winners. They may sometimes doubt themselves, but they don't show it, says consultant Paula Byrne. They act as if they know where they're going. Leaders also know that appearance and manners count. They are usually pleasant to be with. Their speech is polished, their demeanor unruffled and assured. Be competent. Knowledge is power, the saying goes, and the best leaders know that their savvy are part of their charisma. Competence galvanizes people and will make them look to you for guidance and direction. Foster enthusiasm. When people understand the importance of work, they lend their mental strength, says Lee Duncan. But when they get excited about the work, all their energy gets poured into the job. That's a massive force. The best way to generate excitement? Be excited yourself. It's contagious. Delegate. Chris Alger, a young, divorced Florida mother, was too busy getting her own life together to think about leading anyone anywhere. But one day, she noticed how many people were going hungry in downtown Miami. She returned that evening with a friend and 20 bologna sandwiches. The next night, she brought more sandwiches. She began preparing soup and coffee, and soon it became apparent that she and her friend couldn't handle everything. I'd never mobilized people before, but I had no choice, she said. Others were depending on me to act. I picked up my phone. She became so visible that the internet and a TV station did stories on her. The power of the press produced other volunteers who donated money, contacts, and skills. Now volunteers make and serve 500 sandwiches a day, as well as gallons of soup. It's not just me doing all of this, she says. So many have become involved. I couldn't do it alone. Exactly. It's her leadership. All right, so that concludes that article. I've got the plaintiff closing arguments that we've been working on, and we're going to finish that up today. Okay, all right, here we go. Ready? Dr. Connor testified that there was nerve damage. On cross-examination, he located the place of the nerves that were damaged. Where? Do you recall his answer? He said at C5. C5. Of course, C5 refers to the cervical spine, a nerve root in the cervical spine. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the medical testimony that you heard does establish the burden that Mr. Meso had to meet with reference to what took place anatomically at the time of the accident, extent of his injuries, the need for treatment, his disability from work, his need for future treatments, and ongoing disability. Now, at this time, I would like to undertake a discussion of the value of the damages Mr. Meso suffered. All right, and that concludes that, or those closing arguments from the plaintiff's attorney. I'm going to give you an article here on property. Okay, all right, here we go. Ready? Property is the right and interest which one has in anything that is subject to ownership. Property may be tangible or intangible, visible or invisible, movable or immovable. Any person possessing property normally has the right to possess, use, enjoy, and dispose of it. A right to property is not always exclusive, but may be held by more than one person. Property is classified in terms of the nature of the property, interest, as real or personal. Real property is normally land and all things affixed to it. Generally, real property is tangible, immovable, and visible. Real property may include land, houses, trees, and buildings. Personal property is generally defined as movables. Personal property is sometimes defined as all things that are not classified as real property. Personal property may include the following items: clothing, automobiles, jewelry, furniture, and appliances. Intangible property includes goodwill, aesthetic value, and in some cases, works of art and music. In most instances, intangible value is subjective value. All right. I've got an article for you. This is called Alice and the Chipmunk. Okay. All right, here we go. Change your perspective on the world, and the world changes forever. Okay. There was a chipmunk in my house, just sitting there in my bedroom, looking straight ahead. I said, "Oh, you again." It was his third visit this year. My first attempt at catching a chipmunk had been quite an adventure. "Bob," I'd say to my cat. "Get him." I followed with a broom and a bucket. The plan being that once Bob cornered the chipmunk, I could sweep him up and set him free in the yard. So the three of us ran circles around my bedroom. It was a Saturday morning, and here I was inside a Tom and Jerry cartoon. This time, though, the chipmunk wasn't afraid. He just sat there, staring forward. He seemed to look right through me. "I'm sorry," I said. "You'll have to go outside." I swished him into the bucket with a magazine, then opened the window and put him out on the porch roof. But instead of scurrying away, He just sat there, looking forward. Again, it was eerie. He could have been in pain or maybe sick. He could have been like Alice, the woman across the street. For months, Alice had sat on her front stoop, looking forward to what? I wasn't sure. Alice is about 70 and lives alone in the house where she was born. She watches me bouncing in and out of my house, charged with my day's events, never slowing except when I muster enough courage to look a chipmunk in the eye. Are you dead? I asked the chipmunk. Just then, Bob the cat jumped out of a tree and onto the roof. Beat it, Bob, I said. The cat nosed the chipmunk. The chipmunk bolted and fell off the roof. Bob, you big jerk, I yelled. I ran downstairs and out the door. The chipmunk was lying on his side. Are you okay? I asked. Are you dead now? He righted himself up. He sat there on the brick pavement and looked forward. None of his adventures, the tumble through the sky, the thud on the pavement, could shake this animal from his reverie. Alice was watching from her front steps, her neck raised high, wondering why I was talking to a chipmunk. A chipmunk, I said. What's that? I have a little chipmunk here. Oh, she said. It was the longest conversation we'd had in some time. Alice didn't or hadn't talked much lately. She stopped talking to me and the other neighbors about 6 months ago when her sister died. We'd all noticed it. Once, though, she had surprised me. How you doin', Alice? I'd asked, all cheerful. Can't complain, she replied, not looking at me. This was where the conversation usually ended. Well, good, I said. Nobody cares anyway, she added. Oh, Alice, that is not true, I said. Well, I've been sad, Alice said. Ever since Emily died, I've been very sad. She started to cry. I offered a few clumsy bits of consolation, then turned away. It became an issue with me. Every day I saw her, and every day I kicked myself for turning away from Alice's grief, as if she were contagious, as if she were a rabid chipmunk. I wasn't allowed to pick up, hold, or comfort. Eventually, the chipmunk began behaving like a chipmunk and scurried out into the street. I scurried out too. So did Alice. The three of us looked at one another, bemused. Finally, Alice said, "He's very lonely." The next thing I knew, the sun was going down, and I was in Alice's yard talking about her sister and other topics. It felt good to be there. It felt like a victory. I had never really seen Alice's face close up. No longer was she the sad, silent woman across the street. I studied the creases in her skin, her wobbly jawline, and her mouth. She was a different person. It happens just like that. You change your perspective on the world, and the world changes forever. Before I left, Alice picked up a shovel, dug up a peony, and gave it to me. I planted it in my yard that very night. Okay, well that concludes our jury charge and literary. Have a wonderful day.